Hello. Hello. Wow, it's the new year. Lunar New Lunar New Year. Okay. Let's It's a new year, it's a new year, it's a new year. Eliminate. Element. Prominent. Prominent. Vocabulary review. Okay. Prominent. It means 显著的、著名的、重要的 prominent, eliminate, prominent, eliminate 是什么意思？啊，eliminate, pretend, 假装 exploit, 记不住吗？exploit. The company was exploiting a legal loophole. Occasions that has exploited a wealthy patient. Benefit unfairly from the look of someone, typically by overworking or underpaying them. Exploit. Announce. Exploit. Act.剥削 Humorous. Exploits. Humorous. 剥削 abuse. Take advantage of. Okay, expedient. Expedient 不知道什么意思，记不住。Expedient at the outset 刚刚开始 at the outset gradual 渐进的 evolution 改变 revolution espionage more espionage 间谍 espionage engage in espionage okay yesterday we know the IMF was created by two communist mall and the government, the US government, especially the president, know that, be informed of that. Okay, the paper gold. But Fabian Turtle was crawling inexordinary. extraordinary, inexorably, horribly, inexorably, toward its destination, 缓慢地向它的目标爬行。In 1970, the IMF created a new monetary and unit called the SDR, Special Drawing Right. The media optimistically described it as a paper gold, but it was pure bookkeeping wizardry with no relationship to gold or anything else of tangible value. What does it mean? What does it mean? 无可阻挡的特别提款权 special drawing right. Turtle. Crying inexorably 无可阻挡，缓慢但不可逆啊 crying inexorably 啊 inexorably inexorably 哇，这只是一个记账，不是真实货币，是一个记账的单位，特别体现权一个记账单位，相当于什么？相当于是挂空账是吗？那边有几个 paper gold tangible value 可触摸到的 tangible 有形的 tangible value. SDRs are based on credits, right, which are provided by the member nations. These credits are not money. They are merely promises that the government will get the money by taxing their own citizens should the need arise. They are merely promises that the government will get the money by taxing their own citizens should the need arise. The IMF considers啥意思？这个吗？看不明白。The IMF considers this to be assets which then become the reserves from which loans are made to other governments, as we shall see in Chapter 10. This is almost identical to the bookkeeping sleight of hand that is used to create money out of nothing at the Federal Reserve System. Dennis Turner cuts through the garbage. Cuts through. They are merely promises that their own citizens should the need arise. 屏蔽无用知识核心 cut through the garbage. 哦 cut through the garbage. Cut through the garbage. By taxing their own citizens, should the need arise? If the need arise, should the need arise? 必要时 By taxing them, should the need arise? 这是倒装句，我说的都是。OK. 这个意思。They are merely promises that the governments will get money the government will get money should the need arise by taxing their money. Okay. SDRs are turned into loans to third world nations by creation of checking accounts in the commercial or central banks of the member nations in the name of debtor governments. These bank accounts are created out of thin air. The IMF creates dollars, francs, pounds, or other hard currencies and gives them to a third world dictator, with inflation resulting in the country where the currency originated. Inflation is caused in the industrialized nations. Where wealth is transferred from the general public to the debtor country, and the debtor doesn't repay. 天哪，知道了，这不就是现在这个俄乌战争，然后拜登政府把钱，然后给到这个乌克兰去打仗一样嘛？然后基本上同意这个做法的人，基本上都是在干嘛？都是在拿回扣，因为谁会想一想，谁会无偿的把这些钱给到这些 debtor countries， 是吧？那给到，比如说给了1000万，给了900万，给了1000万，可能只有100万到账，然后剩下的900万到了这些制定政策的有权利的人的手里，这是变相的那个什么权利，也是权力寻租啊，就是权力寻租，这是共产主义的最强烈的表现形式，敛财的一种很直接的手段。When the IMF was created, It was obvious it was the vision of Fabian socialist German kings that there be a world central bank issuing a reserve currency called the Bancher to free all governments from the discipline of gold. With the creation of SDRs, the IMF had finally begun to fulfill that dream. Bancher 是什么意思？班科，以取代金本位和美元主导的货币体系。嗯，凯恩斯主义。Gold is finally abandoned, but there was still obstacle, obstacle, obstacle. As long as the dollar was the primary currency used by the FM, and as long as it was it was redeemed in gold at per ounce, the um, the amount of international money that could be created would be limited. If the IMF were to function, if the IMF were to function as a true world central bank with unlimited issues, the dollar had to be broken away from its gold backing as a first step toward replacing it completely with the banker next year, or something else equally free from restraint. Restraint. On August 5th, 1971, President Nixon signed an executive order declaring that the United States would no longer redeem its paper dollars for gold. So ended the first phase of the FM metamorphosis. Mental metamorphosis, metamorphosis, morphosis, matter, metamorphosis. It was not yet a true central bank, but it could not create its own world currency. It had to depend on the banks of its member nations to provide cash and so-called credits. But since these banks themselves could create as much money as they wishes from now on, there would be no limit. The original purpose had been maintain to maintain fixed rates of exchange between currencies, but the IMF has precised over more than 200 currency devaluations in private industry. A failure of that magnitude might be cause for going out of business, but not in the world of politics. The greater the failure, the greater the pressure to expand the problem. So, when the dollar broke laws from gold, and there was no longer a ready standard for measuring currency values, the IMF merely changed its goal and continued to expand its operation. The new goal was to overcome trade deficits, 克服贸易赤字 overcome 过去的目标可能是维持金本位和货币，而新的目标则转向调整国际贸易平衡，以减少贸易逆差带来的经济风险。啥意思啊？The original purpose had been to maintain fixed rates of exchange between currencies. 原本的目标只是维持这个货币间的固定的利率，但是 the IMF has precised领导 over more than 200 currencies devaluations 主导了，但是 IMF has 主导了 devaluations more than 200 currency devaluation 主导了200多个货币的贬值基本 In private industry 私人企业的话 a failure of that magnitude might be cause for going out of business 如果是私人 industry 工业的话早就破产 but not in the world of politics the greater the failure the greater the pressure to expand the problem 越大的失败会为 to pressure the problem expand the problem expand 是扩大 so when the dollar broke loose from gold 当美元和黄金脱钩的时候 there was no longer a ready standard 没有一个现成的标准 for measuring currencies values 来衡量货币的价值 they merely changed its goal 那么渐渐的 changed its goal 它的目标 and continue to expand its opposition 这么回事就是世界货币基金组织最初的目的是 维持货币之间的固定率，但国际货币组织却见证了超过200次货币贬值。在私营企业中，如此大规模的失败可能导致企业，但政治界中却不是这样。失败越严重，扩大计划的压力就越大。因此，当美元脱离基本位，不再有现成的标准来衡量货币价值时，IMF 只是改变了目标，并继续扩大其运作，其目标变成了克服贸易赤字。美元1971年标志着布雷森特体系此后汇率由固定利率转为浮动，导致国际货币体系发生重大变革。但随着国际经济环境变化，贸易不平衡和国际收支问题，这段文字反映了 M 这个体系争议。嗯哎呀，这胡子里面卖的什么药？这一下就出来了。Prices over more than 200 currencies devaluations. Currency trade deficits 贸易赤字 The topic of trade deficits is a favorite among politicians, economists, and talk show hosts. I will agree that I will agree they are bad, but there's much disagreement over what causes them. Let's have a try a let's have a try at it. Let's have a try at it. A trade deficit is a condition that exists when a country imports a greater value of goods than it exports. In other words, it depends more than it earns in international trade. And this is similar to the situation of an individual who spends more than he earns. In both cases, the process cannot be sustained 持续，除非 unless earnings are increased. 正的态度 Money is taken out of savings. 啊，money is taken out of savings. 钱不是来自于储蓄。Assets are sold. 变卖资产。For money is counterfeited. 伪造的。Or money is borrowed. Unless one of these occurs, the individual or the country has no choice but to decrease in spending. Increasing one's earns is the best solution. In fact, it is the only solution for long haul. All else is temporary at best. An individual can increase his income by working harder or smarter or longer. A country does it the same way, but it can't happen unless private industry is allowed to flourish in a system of free enterprise. The problem with this option is that few politicians respect the dynamic power of the free enterprise system. Their wood, their their world, their world is built upon political problems in which the laws of the free market are manipulated to achieve political popular goals. They may desire the option of increasing the nation's income by increasing its productivity, but their political agenda prevents that from happening. The second option is to obtain extra money out of savings, but There are virtually no governments in the world today that have any savings. Their debts and liabilities exceed assets by a large margin. Likewise, most of their industries and their citizens are in similar position. Their savings already have been consumed by government. The third option, the selling of assets, also is not available for most countries. By assets, we mean tangible items other than merchandise, which is more normally for sale, although these too are assets in the broad meaning. In accounting methodology, they are classified as investing. The only government assets that is readily marketable is gold, and a few countries today have a stockpile from which to draw. Even in those cases, what little they have is already owed to another government or a bank. As the private assets, nations can, for a while, sell these to foreign buyers or offset their negative trade balance. This is what has been happening in the United States for many years as office buildings, stocks, factories, and entire companies have been sold to foreign investors. But the fact remains that the nation is still spending more than it earns, and that process cannot continue indefinitely. Indefinitely. Foreign ownership and control over industry and commerce also create social, sociological, and political problems. Underdeveloped countries do not have to worry about any of that, however, because they have few private assets to sell. The counter option 什么意思？The counterfeit option 啊，伪造 counterfeit the counterfeit 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 the counterfeit option伪造的选择或虚假的选项 is available only if a country happens to be in the unique position of having its currency accepted as the mediator of international trade, as has been the case for the United States. In that event, it is possible to create money out of nothing, and other nations have no choice but to accept it. Thus, For years, the United States has been able to spend more money than it earned in trade by having the Federal Reserve create whatever it needed. When the dollar was separated entirely from the gold in 1981, it cost being the official IMF world currency and finally had to compete with other currencies, primarily the mark and the yen, on the basis of its relative merit. From that point forward, its value increasingly became discounted. Nevertheless, it was still preferred medium of exchange. Also, the US was one of the safest places in the world to invest one's money. But to do so, one first had to convert its native currency into dollars. This fact gives the US dollar greater value on international markets than it otherwise would have merited. So, in spite of the fact that the Federal Reserve was creating a huge amount of money during this time, the demand for it by foreigners was seemingly limitless. The result is that America has continued to finance its trade deficits with fiat money, counterfeit, counterfeit, if you will, a feat which no other nation in the world could hope or to accomplish. We have been told that our nation's trade deficit is terrible and that it would be better to weaken the dollar to bring it an end. Weakening the dollar is an euphemism. Eu 天呐 euphemism for increasing inflation. In truth, America is not hurt by trade deficit at all. In we are the benefactors, while our trading partners are the victims. We get the cars, TV sets, while they get the funny money. We get the hardware, they get the paperwork. This is the dark side of exchange. However, as long as the dollar remains in high esteem as a trade currency, America has continued to spend more than it earns. But when the day arrives, as it certainly must, when the dollar tumbles, tumble, 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 and the foreigners no longer want it, the free ride 占便宜 will be over. When that happens, hundreds of billions of dollars that are now resting in foreign countries will quickly come back to our shores as people everywhere in the world attempt to convert them into yet more real, real, real estate factories and tangible products, and to do so as quickly as possible before they became even more worthless as this flood of dollars beats up prices. We will finally experience the inflation that should have been caused in years past, but which has postponed because foreigners were keen enough to take the dollars out of our economy in exchange for their products. The chickens will come home to roost, but when they do, it will not be because of the trade deficits. It will be because we were able to finance the trade deficit with fiat money created by the Federal Reserve. If it were not for that, the trade deficit could not have happened. But to the main topic, which is the five methods by which a trade deficit can be paid through the process of elimination. Elimination. 报应终将来临 Chicken comes home to the roost. Chickens come home to roost. Chicken come home to roost. Chickens come home to roost. 善恶终有报 Chickens have come home to roost. 自作自受 will come home to roost. But when they do, the chickens will come home to roost. 善恶终有报 But when they do, will not because of the trade deficit. It will be because of we were able to finance the trade deficit with fiat money created by the Federal Reserve. It was, if it were not for that, the trade could not have happened. Back to the main topic, which is the five methods by which a trade deficit can be paid. So press elimination. The fourth option of borrowing is where the action is today for most of the world, and that is where the M positioned itself in 1970s. Its new mission was to provide loans so countries can continue to spend more than they earn, but to do so in the name of overcoming trade deficits. IMF loans doomed but sweet. Doomed but sweet. 注定失败却诱人甘美 Doomed but sweet. 甜蜜的毒药 These loans do not go into private enterprises where they have a chance of being turned for profit. They go into state-owned and state-operated industries, 国有企业 which are constipated by bureaucracy. 这个又怎么忘了 bureaucracy, 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 okay, bureaucracy, and poisoned by corruption, constipated, doomed to economic failure from the start. They consume the loans with no possibility of repayment. Even the interest quickly becomes too much to handle, which means the M must fall back to the reserves, back to the assets, back to the credits, and eventually back to the taxpayers to bail them out. Okay. Whereas the International Monetary Fund is evolving, 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 evolve, 进化 evolve into a world central bank, which eventually will issue a world currency based on nothing. Its sister organization, the World Bank, 世界银行, has become its lending agency, acting as saviors of the world. It seeks to aid the underdeveloped nations to feed the hungry and to bring a better life to all mankind in pursuit of these humanitarian goals. 人道主义 humanitarian. It provides loans to governments at favorable terms, usually at rates below market for terms as long as 50 years and often with no payment due until after 10 years. Funding for these loans comes from member states in the form of a small amount of cash plus promise of deliver about 10 times more if the bank gets into trouble. The promise described as called capital constitute a kind of FDIC insurance program, but with no pretense at maintaining a reserve fund. In that sense, it is more honest than the real FDIC, which does maintain the pretense. But in reality, it based on nothing more than a similar promise. 都是讽刺再讽刺 Based on the small amount of seed money plus the far greater amount of credits and the promises from governments of the industrialized countries, the World Bank is able to go into the commercial loan markets and borrow large sums at extremely low interest rates. After all, the loans are backed by the most powerful government in the world, which have promised to force their taxpayers to make the payment if the bank should get into trouble. It then takes these funds and relend them to the undeveloped countries at slightly higher rates, making a profit on the arbitrage. The unseen aspect of this operation is that the money it processes is money which otherwise would have been available for investment in the private sector or as loans to consumers. It siphons siphon of much needed development capitals for private industry, prevents new jobs from being created, causes interest rates to rise, and retards the economic at large, and retards headed world socialism 啊，世界共产主义，国际共产主义。Okay, I think. Okay, I think that's all for today. Okay. Let's review. Let's wrap it up. Okay. Paper gold. Paper gold. Fabian Turtle. 国际货币基金组织主要做的就是通过一个 SDR， 特别提款权只是一个 credit， 然后 pass through the garbage， by creating checking accounts， 账单，Central Bank of Member Nations name of debt， 就是把钱 from the general public to debt countries， 就是这种方式。然后最终黄金最终被抛弃，是因为国际货币基金组织导致了200多次的货币贬值，但是他越这么作恶，在政治领域他是越成功的。为什么？会传导，扩大他的权利。New goal is overcome the trade， 然后最终转到了来克服叫 trade deficits 贸易赤字，然后就把矛盾转移到贸易赤字。这个贸易赤字挺有意思。如果一个国家想要一直来这个持续的 can be sustained， 除非第一收入增加，第二钱不是来 is taken out of savings 就是坐吃山空嘛，花储备的钱。Assets are sold， 卖东西。Money is counterfeited， 假钞。Money is borrowed， 借钱。除非 unless one of these occurs, the individual or the country has no choice but discretion。然后呢 ，increasing 增加收入是最好的解决方案。In fact, this is the only solution。对 ，for the long haul。long haul。All else is temporary， 别的都是暂时的，这个是长期的，就是增加收入。Can increase his by working harder or smarter or longer. Country does it the same way, but it can be happen. 除非 private industry is allowed to flourish in a system free enterprise. Flourish. 私人 industry 私人工业 is allowed to flourish in a system free enterprise. 什么意思呢？只有自由企业制度下允许私营产业 free enterprise system 自由企业制度， 自由竞争。如果没有自由市场，经济发展就无法实现。The problem with this option is that few politicians respect the dynamic power of the free enterprise system. 自由企业制度 free enterprise system. Their world is built upon political programs in which the law of free market are manipulated to achieve political popular goals. 他们的世界建立在政治需求，法律是来操控的，为了达到政治目的。They may desire the option of increasing nation's income by increasing its productivity, but their political agenda prevents that from happening. 他们想那么做，其实但是他们的政治 agenda 却会阻止他们。The second option is to obtain extra money out of saving. 第二项就是从储蓄中来。But there are virtually no governments in the world totally that have any savings. 但是政府哪有储蓄啊？ The debts and liabilities are set by the large market. Likewise, most of their industries and their citizens are in a similar position. Their savings already have been consumed by government. The third option, selling assets, also is not available for most countries. By assets, we mean tangible items other than merchandise, which is normally for sale. 至于说财富 assets, we mean 这里说的财富，我们的意思是大量的什么呢？正常代收商品之外的 other than merchandise 的物品。merchandise. Although these are assets in broad meaning, in accounting methodology, they are classified as inventory, 库存 classified. In other, the only government asset that is readily marketable is gold, and few countries today have stockpile from which to draw. 库存储备物资 stockpile. Even in those cases, what little they have is already owned. Old to another government or bank. As for private assets, nations can, for a while, sell this to foreign buyers or of their nation trade balance. That is what has been happening in the United States for many years, as office building stocks have been sold to foreign investors. But the fact remains that the nation is still spending more than it earns, and that process can be continued indefinitely. Definitely, foreign ownership and control over industry and commerce also create sociological and political problems. Sociologic technological and political problems under developed countries do not have to worry about any of that, however, because they have few products to sell. The counterfeit option. 所以这有一个虚假的选项。The counter option is available only if the country happens to be the unique position of having its currency accepted as the medium of international trade, as has been the case for the United States. 这个就有意思了，这个就有意思了。伪造的选择权，美金就是伪造的选择。In that event, it is possible to create money out of nothing, and other nations have no choice but to accept it. Thus, for years, the United States have been able to spend more money than it earned in trade by having the Federal Reserve create whatever it needed, whatever it needed. The dollar was separated entirely from the gold in 1971. It ceased being the offshore world currency and finally had to compete with their currency. Compete with other currencies, primarily the mark and the yen, on the basis of its relative merit. From that operation forward, its value increases because became discounted. 无价之宝。脱离黄金后，它不再是国际货币基金组织的官方世界货币。It ceased being the official world currency and finally had to compete with other currencies. 最终不得不根据其相对价值展开竞争。Or separate entirely from the gold. It ceased being the official currency. Ceased being 停止。And finally had to compete with the other countries on the basis of its merit. From that point forward, its value increasingly became discounted. It was still the preferred medium of exchange also. The US was one of the safest places in the world to invest one's money, but to do so one first had to convert his national currency into dollars. This fact gave the US dollar greater value on international markets than it otherwise would have merited. So, in spite of the fact that the Federal Reserve was creating huge amounts of money during this time, the demand for it by foreigners was seemingly limitless, and the result is that America has continued to finance its trade deficits with fiat, 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 啊 fiat 啊，这读人 fiat money, counterfeit, if you will, counterfeit if you will, a feat which no other nation in the world could hope to accomplish. We have been told that our nation's trade deficit is terrible and that it would be better to weaken the dollar. To bring an end, weaken the dollar is an euphemism, euphemism for increasing. Euphemism. Okay. Okay, that's all for today. 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 Thank you. Chickens come home to roost. 善恶终有报。To roost. Roost. Okay. That's all for today. Thank you. Thank you. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Cut through the garbage. Conflict. Chickens come home to roost. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.